In Bolivia, the government celebrated with a massive ceremony the 72nd anniversary of the Agrarian Productive and Community Revolution. In Vietnam, authorities registered at least 8 dead and 7 injured after floods and landslides caused by torrential rains. And in Palestine, Israel's ongoing genocide on Gaza has so far left over 60,430 Palestinians killed, mostly women, children, and the elderly. Hello, welcome to From South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. With a massive ceremony, the Bolivian government celebrated Saturday the 72nd anniversary of the Agrarian Productive and Community Revolution. At the ceremony, President Luis Arce reiterated his commitment to producers, farmers, and the struggle of their ancestors. Arce highlighted the contribution of agricultural workers to food security, economic growth, and the country's sovereignty. President Arce also thanked the farmers for making it possible for Bolivians to enjoy gastronomic diversity. In the context, the president said his administration has taken all necessary measures to guarantee food sovereignty in the country.
The future of our country, the future of humanity, brothers and sisters, relies on agricultural technology. If there is no agriculture, that old mouth of Shinlov exponential and geometric growth in food and population, which will lead to food shortages in the future, will become a reality. That is why the government has devised a plan to prevent that. There cannot be a food shortages in our country. You are our guarantee that there will be food, that food sovereignty in this country be guaranteed. For it depends on agricultural producers, on farmers.
And on Friday in Venezuela, the Executive Vice President and the Minister of Hydrocarbons, Delcy Rodriguez, met with the Council of Vice Ministers of the area and the Board of Directors of Petróleos de Venezuela to evaluate production goals. Within the framework of the Plan for Absolute Productive Independence, the conditions and perspectives of the hydrocarbons engine were analyzed. This plan, created in March, was a response to the ratification of the sanctions imposed by Washington against Caracas. On this matter, the consulting firm Oxford Economics hastened to rectify some of its forecasts for the country, speculating that the return of Chevron will give a boost to the national currency and to oil production. The government also determined that with effort and joint strategies with allied countries, its results will be increasingly positive. And Panama is at the mercy of a corrupt government that persecutes trade unionists, educators, students, workers, and indigenous and social movements in order to be able to act as it pleases. This was stated by Panamanian union leader Saul Mendez, who is currently being persecuted by the government of President Jose Raul Mulino. He made these comments during an interview broadcast on Friday with El Grito del Sur, in which he also described the serious human rights violations committed during the protests and the executive decision to hand over sovereignty to the United States. He reaffirmed that the people and the trade union, student, indigenous, and social movements will not allow the country to be handed over and will fight for its refoundation.
Pueblo panameño, nosotros lo estamos llamando a organizarnos.
We are calling on the Panamanian people to come together, raise awareness, and fight. Since 2007, we have developed 3 theses for the people, which focus on the construction of popular power. This involves uniting the people in all their forms: students, professionals, community members, indigenous peoples, public and private workers. In other words, the construction of an organization that is democracy. the thesis of real democracy, the participatory democracy that we Panamanians must build so that the people can truly determine their future and public policies. That is why we speak of real democracy, and our third fundamental thesis is the need for a self-convened original constituent assembly that ignores the existing power structure and establishes a new state through this constituent assembly, where the people are empowered to elect and remove leaders from office.
And to explain Panama's surrender of sovereignty, Mendes gave a brief account of the corruption that has taken hold of all branches of government.
This is a vulgar act of state treason led by Molino, by Foreign Minister Martinez Acha, another corrupt official, and by Security Minister Fran Abrego, who is being prosecuted and has a trial pending. Abrego was directly appointed by Molino, for he was the lawyer and got him out of embezzlement charges involving Finmeccanica, an Italian conglomerate, for he had been minister under the Martinelli administration. But since justice in Panama is also rotten, all these white-collar criminals have been practically acquitted.
And in Haiti, the United Nations Integrated Office published a report for the second quarter of 2025, according to which more than 1,500 people have been killed and only 609 injured due to violence. The acting head of the UN Office for Haiti, Ulrika Richardson, states that in addition to the 1,520 dead, criminal attacks are causing serious human rights violations and aggravating the already extreme humanitarian crisis. In addition to the dead and injured, the report confirmed 628 victims of sexual violence and 185 kidnappings just for this period. It is important to highlight that the presence of the international contingent headed by Kenya has proven to date ineffective in curbing the activities of criminal groups. We now have our first break coming up. Remember, you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you'll find news in different formats, news updates, and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In the United States, the crew of the Coast Guard cutter Tahoma offloaded approximately 4,522 kilograms of cocaine, valued at $73.7 million at Port Everglades on Tuesday. A video produced by the U.S. Coast Guard shows crew members anchoring on shore as they transported and contained numerous giant plugs of the illicit drug. The seizure resulted from an interception that took place on June 24, 2025, about 193 kilometers northwest of Ecuador by the Tahoma's crew. According to the U.S. Southern Command's website, Tahoma is an 82 meters famous class medium endurance cutter based in Newport, Rhode Island, under the U.S. Coast Guard Atlantic Area Command. The President of the United States, Donald Trump, has ordered the dismissal of the head of labor statistics, Erica Beckett-Darfur, following the release of a report on the weak employment situation in the country. The Office of Labor Statistics revealed that during the month of July, the government only managed to create 73,000 jobs and not 100,000 as it had projected. In addition, other data shows that unemployment grew between May and June. In this context, the figures show a much weaker hiring pace compared to any quarter since the recession in the economy caused by the pandemic. The report contradicts the alleged victories of the administration led by President Donald Trump, showing the fall of financial markets and the slowdown in employment. And in Chile, rescue teams continue their search for miners who were trapped Thursday afternoon while working at a depth of 1,200 meters on the expansion of the El Teniente copper mine. Following a magnitude 4.2 earthquake on the Richter scale, the El Teniente mine in central Chile collapsed, trapping 5 miners. The accident also left 9 injured and 1 dead. The mine is operated by state-owned mining company Codelco, the world's largest copper producer. According to the company, every effort is being made to rescue those trapped. El Teniente, with 4,500 kilometers of underground galleries, is the largest underground copper deposit on the planet. And in Chile, more than 1,000 people are reported isolated due to flooded rivers caused by rain in the north of the country. The Carabineros reported that the flooding of the Chalinga River destroyed a bridge in the Coquimbo region, leaving more than 1,500 residents without communication. In addition, they added that they must wait for the water level to decrease before attempting to cross and check on the condition of affected families. Meanwhile, in the south of the country, the National Disaster Prevention and Response Service declared a red alert in the municipality of Reinaico due to the Vergara River flooding. At least 8 dead and 7 injured in Vietnam due to flooding and landslide caused by torrential rains. According to local authorities, nearly 290 homes were affected, while several were collapsed and buried by the storm. Transportation services were disrupted, while several schools were damaged and others flooded. The national government confirmed that more than 1,200 officers are deployed in the affected areas to ensure the rescue and evacuation of people. And China has issued a second black storm warning for the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region. Meteorologists forecast heavy rain for the upcoming hours, which could bring over 17 millimeters of water in 1 hour. The emergency department has set up temporary shelters for the foreseeable victims of the storm. Meanwhile, authorities are urging people to take preventive measures and to avoid visiting rural parks or other vulnerable areas. Indonesian authorities reactivated maximum alert on Saturday after a new eruption of the level 12 Laki-Laki volcano on Flores Island in the east of the country. The eruption, which occurred during the dawn of the morning, ejected a column of ash that reached 19.5 kilometers in height, affecting large areas of the southwest, west, and northwest of the island. According to the report of the Volcanology Agency, the phenomenon was accompanied by a roar and a loud explosion lasting approximately 14 minutes. The authorities asked the population to wear masks due to the high concentration of ash in the air. The Bali International Airport reported delays in some flights. Indonesia is home to more than 400 volcanoes, of which at least 129 continue active. And in western Ukraine, police forces cracked down on protests against military draft raids in the city of Vinnytsia. Local sources say that at least 100 men were captured by the Military Registration and Enlistment Office, an action that led dozens of women to storm the stadium where citizens were held in order to secure their release. In turn, a crowd managed to break down the doors despite the police forces attacking the protesters with tear gas. Faced with a shortage of military personnel, the army intensified its raids in public places and its aggression against protesters. And in Thailand, thousands of people rallied to demand the resignation of suspended Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra and to demonstrate their support for the armed forces in defense of national sovereignty. Protesters gathered on Saturday at the Victory Monument in Bangkok, chanting slogans and delivering speeches denouncing the Thai Prime Minister. They also reaffirmed their commitment to defending the country after reaching a ceasefire agreement due to border clashes with Cambodia. The dispute between the two nations left fatalities and displaced more than 260,000 people. We now have our second short break coming up. Remember, we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final break, don't go away. Welcome back. Palestine, over 60,430 people have now been killed due to Israel's ongoing aggression. In the last few hours, health authorities reported that Zionist forces killed 98 Palestinians, while another 1,079 were injured. Health agencies have warned that the emergency services are facing difficulties in rescuing victims and recovering bodies trapped under the rubble as Israel continues to attack their personnel. Despite calls for an immediate ceasefire, Tel Aviv continues to promote its policies of ethnic extermination against dozens of Gazan families. And amid Israeli attacks, the Gaza Strip has reported 7 deaths from malnutrition and hunger. The World Health Organization warned that the deliberate restriction of humanitarian aid and the blockade imposed by Israel have caused the death of dozens of civilians and aggravated the living conditions of Palestinians. With the latest death, the number of victims of starvation has risen to 169, including 93 children. And in Palestine, thousands of Gazans gather in Sikkim to await humanitarian aid while they are attacked by the Israeli army. Civilians denounced that they are waiting for trucks loaded with supplies at border crossings, but most are seized by Israel before they arrive. New Israeli measures have led to a decrease in the number of humanitarian loads entering the Gaza Strip. Meanwhile, the Tel Aviv regime continues to attack crowds in food distribution areas. And in Palestine, Israeli forces murdered another journalist north of the Gaza Strip, raising the number to 230 journalists killed since October 7, 2023. According to Palestinian news agency, the reporter was found dead in her home after being attacked by the Zionist military. Meanwhile, the Palestinian Journalists Union accused Israel of carrying out massacres against the union in an attempt to hide the truth about its crimes in the Gaza Strip. It also urged the world to take action to hold the perpetrators accountable, Israeli leaders, both political and military. And family members of Israeli hostages gathered in Tel Aviv to demand that the Netanyahu government cease its aggressions against the Gaza Strip and agree to a ceasefire. Protesters used barbed wire to simulate the situation of the victims and urged the authorities to guarantee the safe return of their relatives. They also stated that Israeli hostages are also suffering from hunger due to the blockade imposed on humanitarian aid sent to Gaza, and called on the United States to take steps to reach an agreement with the Palestinian resistance movement. After 22 months of continuous bombing against Gaza, Hamas still holds 50 hostages from the Zionist army, while the occupation forces have killed more than 60,000 Palestinians, mostly children, women, and the elderly.
We must say this in the clearest terms. We have tried everything. Military pressure, transferring residents, stopping food supplies, occupying areas, and assassinating Hamas leaders. None of this has helped in returning all the hostages. The only thing we have not tried yet is a comprehensive agreement in exchange for ending a war.
We're calling on the current Israeli government to stop stalling and to stop doing what it was meant to do since October 7th, 2023, to release all the hostages, to put an end to the war and do the right thing, and just do it now. And we're calling on the American administration to start pulling strings that are already there in order to get this done.
Thousands of people gathered in Paris, France, to support the recognition of Palestine as an independent state. During the demonstration, participants also demanded from Israel a ceasefire and an end to the blockade of humanitarian aid into the Gaza Strip. International condemnation is growing amid Tel Aviv's plans to implement new measures to ban the entry of food and essential supplies. Meanwhile, the French government has stated that it is moving forward with the recognition of a Palestinian state by September. And the government of Pakistan welcomed Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian as part of an official visit seeking to strengthen bilateral relations amid recent tensions in the region. The Iranian leader was welcomed in Lahore with a welcoming ceremony reflecting the deep brotherhood between the countries. This is the first stop on his two-day visit to Pakistan. Pezeshkian will also visit the Museum of poet and philosopher Muhammad Iqbal Lahori, symbol of the Islamic revival. He would then travel to Islamabad to meet with Pakistani President Asif Ali Zardari and Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif to evaluate trade cooperation with a view to expanding the alliance. Panama prepares everything for its 21st edition of the International Book Fair, which will take place from August 11th to the 17th. Under the slogan Weaving Dialogues, this event will offer a program with more than 500 activities for all ages, including book presentations, forums, talks, poetry, folklore, and performances of music, dance, theater, and cinema. There will be stands available to all participating publishers and writers, both established and emerging, who will share their experiences and news with the public. This edition will have Morocco as the guest of honor. And Colombia dresses in colors with the Medellin Flower Fair 2025, an event that shows the most cultural side of the city. Let's see the details.
Más importantes de los antioqueños.
One of the most important festivities of the people of Antioquia begins, which not only exhibits the beauty of these plants that adorn houses, streets, and public places throughout the year, but also represents an opportunity to highlight the cultural characteristics of the region. Under the slogan Medellin Loves You, the event will be held until August 10th and 6th to be a space for family gatherings, with more than 110 free and public activities for all dates, along with a wide variety of floral displays.
Como cada año, la Feria de las Flores de Medellín.
As every year, the Medellin Flower Fair offers several internal events, among which artistic, musical, handicraft, and gastronomic presentations stand out, highlighting the Trova Festival, the Antique Corporate, and the traditional fondas. Also, more than 180 artisans and entrepreneurs from different regions of the country will gather in the city's botanical garden to show and offer their unique products that reflect the richness and diversity of their traditions.
This is a very beautiful and very nice tradition. This tradition goes from generation to generation, and then you get more love for the tradition and the parade.
Junto a la gran y colorida muestra de flores.
Along with the large and colorful display of flowers, this cultural event will also offer, during the 10 days it lasts, other activities for the learning and knowledge of the attendees. Thus, there will be lectures, courses, and practical workshops where people can learn more about the world of plants, their characteristics, benefits for the planet, and their conservation.
Muestra de música popular bailable.
Popular dance music samples, children's horseback riding with stick horses, and a watercolor flower workshop are other proposals available for the family. While one of the main events of the Medellin Flower Fair will be the Parade of the Silleteros, a wooden structure with handles used to carry large amounts of flowers, which this year is expected to bring together more than 530 silleteros parading through the streets of the town, exhibiting their fascinating works and highlighting the cultural identity of Medellin.
Y resaltando la identidad cultural medellinense.
Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. Join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. With Telesur English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thank you for watching.